Hello viewers, it's Oliver here again with another OCast for you guys. That's why I decided to name it and deal with it. In this episode we're going to be starting off by talking about Far Cry Primal. Some of the things I like about the game, some of the things I don't like, and we're going to jump right into it. So let's get started. First off, Far Cry Primal's based in like 10,000 BCE, so you know, cavemen, clubs, bow and arrow, spears, that kind of deal. Woolly mammoths, woolly rhinos, saber-toothed tigers, bears, wolves, you know, lots of animals in it. And animals are one of the things that I'm not a big fan of, and I'll get into that. Not just animals in general, but the taming of animals. One of the big selling points for Far Cry Primal was taming animals. You could tame, I think all the tameable animals are dholes, which are kind of like African painted dogs. If you look that up, you can see a picture. Wolves, honey badger, of course the honey badger, cave lions, saber-toothed tigers, jaguar, panther, bears, and I think that's it. But one of the problems I have with the tame beasts, it's way too easy to tame them. For one, you just walk up. You can throw bait at them, which is just meat basically. It's not hard to find or anything. You throw that and they like go up to it, start sniffing it, start eating it, and you walk up and you just hold square and you go, ooh, shh, don't, you make noises and say shh a lot, and all of a sudden it's yours. It's that simple. And it works for all of them like that, except the beast hunts, which is different, but I'm not really going to get into that. And not only is it really easy to tame the beasts, then once you have them, they're there. Like, if it dies, you can either revive it, or you can not revive it, and then if it dies off, you just open up your beast menu, you say, I want this one back, and it just comes trotting back on. And I don't like that. I think if you lose it, if it dies, or maybe you can only revive it so many times before it's completely dead, I think if it dies, it should be gone, and you should have to retame that animal. I think that would put a lot more emphasis on protecting the animals. That would give more reasons to have certain animals over the others. Like the bears have the most health compared to like a jaguar that is really stealthy but doesn't have very much health. So you'd have to use them in certain situations and use them more differently than just, you know, being able to ride a bear into every battle and killing everybody, and then it dies, you pick it back up and you keep going. That's one of the major things I was kind of disappointed on. One of the things that a lot of people say in the reviews that I've read is the story does not match up with other Far Cry stories. You know, it's not as good. The villains aren't as memorable and stuff like that. Now, I am only about, give or take, 50% through the game, according to my save file on the game. I put about, I think, 15, 16, somewhere between like 15 and 18 hours into it. So I don't have the story complete yet, so I don't really want to get into it that much because I don't know how it ends. I don't know how great the ending would be or all that stuff. So I'll leave that be. But from what I've seen, it's not really a game that's supposed to be based off the story as much as it is about the atmosphere of the game. Walking through the first time you're out in the wild and it turns to night, and you start and you look and you see all these eyes glowing, like the wolves' eyes will glow in the dark, and you see them, and there's like three of them in front of you a little distance off. It's just like, holy crap. Like, it actually feels like you're in a jungle, and I think they did a really great job on the atmosphere. Just great graphics. It looks wonderful. And there's so many little things you can do in the game. One of my favorite things actually in the game is you go to there's different caves spread out throughout the map. It's pretty big map too. I haven't even finished exploring it all, and I've played over 15 hours in the game. And I've actually done a lot of exploring. So, but big map, and then there's caves spread out around like the edges, kind of, because you know, like the edge of the map is kind of like a mountain, so you can't go over it. But in those caves, every single cave, at least so far that I found, has a cave painting that you have to find. Well, you don't have to find. You can find a cave painting in it, which is kind of like a collectible, and then you can find it's a rock with a hand on it. But there's 100 of those spread out through the map. But it's almost, when you're in those caves, it's almost a platforming game, which I thought was really neat the first time I went in one. and you have to search through these caves to find these collectibles, and you have to go all these ways, and you get lost, and then you gotta figure out. And I thought it's almost a game inside a game, and I thought that was really neat. That's one of my favorite parts of the game. Is just little things like that. And actually, I was playing the game yesterday. One of the things is you have to take over like campsites and bonfires and stuff owned but occupied by enemy tribes. Um, and you can either just go in and just kill everybody and stab them with a spear, shoot them in the face with a bow, pull out your club and just start knocking their heads together. Um, and that's one way you can do it. You can send your beast in, send a cave bear in, and just kills everything. But then I was really trying to do stealthy. It was yesterday or 2 days ago, whatever. Um, but you can do it a stealthy way. You can have little throwing stone shards. You can pick people off with those. Pick them off. You can also get, they're called berserk shards, I think they're called. Which if you hit an enemy, what they're supposed to be like laced with toxins of some sort, that makes them go crazy and just attack whatever. So you can use those, and they'll start attacking their own tribe, and then you can sneak around. Some of them, they have horns that if they're alerted of your presence, they'll go to the horn, blow the horn, and then more enemies will come. Sometimes double the amount that are even in the camp to begin with. So you got to destroy the horns. So you sneak around, destroy these horns, pick them off one at a time, sit in a bush, wait for them to walk up when no one's looking, and you take them down, you jump out, you stab them in the throat, and you pull them back down into the bush. And that aspect of the game I really enjoyed. You also have an owl that you can call in. It's like one of the beasts you can have, but you have it like all the time. You don't really have to tame it. You just get it as one of the skills, and there's like a skill tree for it. And you can drop these like not bombs, but like beehives or whatever. And these bees come out and start attacking the guys, and it can do dive attack, and it scouts the area. And that aspect of the game is one of the coolest things now. I'm normally not a stealth player. Like, there's a lot of stealth missions and stuff. Like, I'm not a big fan of stealth most of the time. In Skyrim, stealthing around, pickpocketing, not really my thing. But I found in this game, it's really fun to just sit there and pick them off one at a time, and just slowly pick them away, and all of a sudden there's nobody left, and you have the camp, and it's really rewarding. Those are some of the things that are really awesome about the game. The combat is really good, and that's kind of all I have to say about that for now. I'll touch on it again when I finish the game, probably, however long that'll take. But for now, I would definitely give the game at least 8 out of 10. It's really enjoyable. It's not going to be that blockbuster that it doesn't have co-op, it doesn't have multiplayer and that kind of stuff. But if you just are looking for a game to play, to have fun on, it's not really a game you have to take too seriously either. That's the thing. It's one of those games you can just hop in and play for an hour before for me, an hour in between classes or whatever. Play the game, relax. There's so many different things you can do. You can just go out and hunt animals, try to find the rare animals and get their skins so you can upgrade your huts and stuff like that. Just really rewarding gameplay, I think. So I would definitely recommend it if you were thinking about it. 8 out of 10. Next, big news. Pokemon Sun and Moon announced. For those of you that don't know, I'm a huge Pokemon fan. I've been playing, the first ones I got, were Gold and Silver and Crystal. I've played them all. It's just my favorite game series by far, hands down. Nothing compares. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's supposed to come out this year, holiday season 2016. There's not much known on it so far, so I'm not going to go into detail. I'm going to spend a whole episode about that, probably next episode. But in the meantime, it's the 20th anniversary this year of Pokemon. So I wanted to take this episode. I'm sorry I didn't put a poll out on Twitter this time, because I already knew what episode or what top 10 list I wanted to do. But for this episode, I'm going to do my top 10 Pokemon of all time. I know a lot of the people that watch our channel probably aren't into Pokemon, so you're not really going to enjoy this list as much. But I couldn't pass up this opportunity because it's such a wonderful list to do. So I'm going to start with number 10, Croconaw. The second gen starter, well, Totodile is a second gen water starter, but it's the evolution. It's the first evolution of Totodile. Totodile was by far my favorite starter in that gen. I really did like Cyndaquil though. Chikorita was not very good in that game, to be honest, so that kind of turned me off from that. Normally I'm a grass starter kind of guy, but I really was drawn to Totodile. I don't know if it was because that's when I was watching the anime when I was a kid, and I was like, oh, Totodile, that's what Ash has, and it's really cool. But I really like Totodile, but then it evolved, and Croconaw, for some reason, there's just something about it. I just love Croconaw. I don't know what exactly it is about it, but it's always been one of my favorite Pokemons. Um, it's actually, I think, yeah, it's the only starter Pokemon or starter evolution on my list. So that's kind of interesting. But yeah, so Croconaw, number 10. Number 9, favorite Pokemon type is Dark. So this one's not that big of a surprise, but Houndour. I picked Houndour over Houndoom just because I kind of like, a little bit of cuteness to my Pokemon. Houndoom is really cool, don't get me wrong. But I kind of base these upon, like, if Pokemon, was real, which ones would I want to have? And I think I'd rather have a Houndour, just because it looks more like a regular dog. But the design on it was so cool. Second gen was my favorite gen of Pokemon. Houndour came out of second gen, dark fire type. Just really cool. So yeah, that's really all I got to say about Houndour. So now on to number 8. From the newest gen of Pokemon, Gen 6, we have Hawlucha. I don't really know why I like Hawlucha so much. Something about it just got me when I first caught it, and I used it in my first playthrough on Pokemon Y, I think it was. And just something about it. I can't even put words to it because I'm not 100% sure why I like it so much. But I remember when, I forget what set it was it Furious Fist for the Pokemon TCG came out? Oh my god, I wanted a Hawlucha EX so bad. That's what I was going after for all this time. And I got one and I was just so excited. It's just such an awesome Pokemon. Like I said, I can't really put words why I like it so much. I just do. So now on to number 7, the first gen, Rhydon, the evolution of Rhyhorn. This one, I wasn't really a fan of it for a long time until I sat down. And I don't even remember when it happened, but I was just like, man, I really like Rhyhorn. And I think I ended up using Rhyhorn in a playthrough of one of my games, and I evolved it into Rhydon. And I liked Rhydon, and I said, I don't really feel like, evolving it into Rhyperior, so I just kept it as Rhydon, and I just loved it. It's awesome. The design on it was really cool. I think the fact that Giovanni was like known to have a Rhydon just made it that much cooler. It just seemed so powerful, especially in the animes and stuff back in the old day when it was. First gen, it was one of the strongest, manliest looking Pokemon. Just run over things, Earthquake, Croc Blast, stuff like that. Just an awesome Pokemon. Number 6. This one is directly related to in-game play. Breloom is number 6. Gen 3, I played Ruby. Ruby was the first Pokemon game I put hours upon hours into, and Breloom was my highest level Pokemon in that game by far. It was my highest level Pokemon ever, really, until later gens when I was starting to get older and, knew more about the game. When Ruby came out, God, I don't know how old I was. That was like, what, 2004? 2006? 2005? 2004? 2003? 2000? I don't even remember, but I was like, I wasn't even 10 years old yet, I don't think. And Breloom just put in work. Sky Uppercut. That's all I remember, man. Just Sky Uppercut. Boom! Oh, that move was so powerful. And I would just run through gyms. I'd run through everything just using Sky Uppercut. I love that Pokemon so much. It was the reason I put so many hours into that game. That's the main reason Breloom is on this list and is number 6. Number 5, Pokemon I've never actually used in a game. Baby Pokemon, Elekid. The reasoning behind this one, I think, is when I was a kid, I had an Elekid figurine. It was a little bit bigger than the regular ones, but it was one of my favorite. And I remember one of the reasons why is its body is kind of ovally, and it's got arms, two like sockets coming out of its head and legs. But it was round enough that I could spin it. I could spin it on the table, and for some reason that I really liked that, and I always had this in my mind that they should make a move where he like spins and he shoots electricity out, and something about that just caught my attention, and I just love that Pokemon. Electric type's one of my favorite typing of Pokemon, and Elekid, Electabuzz, and Electivire are just an awesome chain, and Elekid's definitely my favorite. And that's how he made the list, really, as it goes back to when I was a kid and I had the figurine. Number 4, Eevee. And this one's kind of like, I really like Eevee, don't get me wrong. That's why it's number 4, clearly. But just the versatility of Eevee. All the evolutions it can have. Spoiler, I have one of the evolutions in my top 3. So that probably, I don't know if that gave it away, but just there's not a single evolution I dislike. And that's why I kind of have Eevee on the list as number 4. From the first 3 in the first gen, Vaporeon, Flareon, Jolteon, Umbreon, Espeon were just awesome additions. And then you go and you get Leafeon, Glaceon, and Sylveon. There's not a single one I dislike. I think I've used just about all of them in a playthrough. I don't think I've used Sylveon yet. I've had one, but I haven't used it like in a playthrough. And I'm not sure I used Glaceon either, but I've used the rest of them all in a playthrough at least once. It's hard to beat Eevee, really, with its versatility. Number 3, we're going back to the newest gen, 6th gen, for Vivian. I really don't understand what about Vivian. Well, I guess I kind of do. Just all of its forms. Another thing, just the different forms, I guess, gets me. But all those different forms that Vivian can turn into just amazed me when it first came out. I was like, there's that many forms? This thing is cool enough, just pink in its standard form, at least for me, the pink standard form. But then you find out there's all these other forms. It's really the only bug Pokemon I truly, well, that's not true. There's a couple other ones, but it's just so cool. And I used it in a playthrough. It was my highest level Pokemon in one of my playthroughs through X. And it felt like an actually good bug Pokemon, with Hurricane, Bug Buzz, and just those different forms, and I guess being the butterfly that are the moth. I don't even know what it is, if it's a butterfly or moth, to be honest. It just it always had my attention when the game first came out, and I love that Pokemon. So I'm down to my top 2, which are by far my top 2. They're beyond the rest of the list by far. But before those, I'll throw in a couple honorable mentions that I have down here that didn't quite make the top 10, but were close. So I got 4 of them. First is Scyther. That's the other bug Pokemon I really like, Gen 1. It's hard to beat Scyther. It's just so cool. I remember when Scizor came out, it was just awesome. Everything about Scyther was cool. It's got one of the best designs, I think, in all the games, all the Pokemon. It's hard to beat freaking blades on your arm. I mean, come on. Next is Sneasel, another dark type, Dark and Ice. Sneasel was my favorite Pokemon for a while, until Weavile came out. I really wasn't a big fan of Weavile. And once I started learning more about the games and how frail Weasel was, I don't know, it's just something about it kind of fell off. But it's still an awesome Pokemon, don't get me wrong. It always has been, back to Gen 2. Just that's when I first, really got into Pokemon, so I think that really affected it. Next for runner-up, I guess, honorable mentions is Tropius. One of my favorite Gen 3 Pokemon, grass type. Tropius is just unique. I think that's why I liked it so much. Grass flying, this giant dinosaur looking thing with bananas coming out of its head. It was just really cool looking. And then last is Glade. I remember Glade I liked so much for using on what was the game called? Not Pokemon Coliseum, for the Wii. Pokemon Battle Revolution for the Wii. I used it in Wi-Fi battles all the time. It was just so good. It was ridiculous. I really like Gardevoir too, but Glade was just on another level. Alright, so now my top 2. Number 2 is Umbreon. I said I had an evolution in my top 3. This is it. Umbreon, dark type Pokemon, man. Umbreon was just, it's so cool. Um, Now there's a lot of people that like the Umbreon shiny form with the blue lines and whatnot instead. There's something about the regular form though, just the black and the yellow. Great, such a great color combination. Unless you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, you suck. But don't take that personal. Um, just Umbreon was so cool. I remember Gary having one back in the animes, and in the games, your rival had one. It was just, it was such an awesome Pokemon, Umbreon. It's also got, it's my one of my, if not my favorite Pokemon card. I forget if it's from Neo Destiny. It's one of the Neo sets. I have it at home. I don't have it here with me. But the holographic pattern on it looks amazing, and the art looks amazing. Just everything about Umbreon's awesome. So that brings me to number 1, Murkrow. Now, I've never met somebody whose favorite Pokemon was also Murkrow. So I'm looking for him. If you know one, send him my way. Something about Murkrow is just awesome. I can't even put it into words. It's just, it looks amazing. I really don't like Honchkrow, actually, which is kind of odd that I like Murkrow so much and not Honchkrow. But I wish Murkrow, I guess I won't say I wish it didn't have an evolution, because I think it deserved one. But Murkrow is just awesome. I've used it in a playthrough before, just because, why not? Um, but a Murkrow with Dark Pulse, just awesome. Just the picture of Murkrow using Dark Pulse, everything about it is awesome. Dark type Pokemon by far my favorite. It's just a little freaking Murkrow. I wish I had one in real life. Crows are the smartest birds, or one of the smartest animals, and it just kind of feeds off of that. But yeah, that's my top 10. That's the majority of the video. The only last thing to do is give you guys the song of the day. Um, Let me pick one. I got a list here so I can read them off. Last week I did First. So this week I'm going to do Single Wave by Sondar. Now this one is by far not nearly as popular as First was, but this one's actually partially by a girl I went to elementary school and middle school and high school with. We were never like close friends or anything, but it's neat to see that she's making music, and I really like it. I'll put a link to, I think I'm probably gonna have to link to Soundwave. Soundwave, what the heck's the app called? I forget, but I'll put a link in the description so you can get to it. That's the video though, guys. I will see you guys next time talking about Pokemon Sun and Moon. Enjoy.